Hello and welcome back to GoldStockTrades.com. Today we have with us Donald Aveglaben. Donald is CEO of International Tower Hill Mines. International Tower Hill can be traded as ITH on the Toronto, and it also can be traded as THM on the NYSE Amex. Thanks, Donald, for being here with us today.
Happy to be with you.
Donald, can you tell us what is unique about International Tower Hill's Livengood project compared to some of the other projects around the world?
Sure. It stands out in comparison to the majority of the other projects because it is truly a world-class gold deposit. Now, there's often a lot of junior mining companies that say they've got a world-class deposit, but this is one of the largest undeveloped gold resources in the entire world. With 16.5 million ounces of measured and indicated and 4.1 million ounces inferred from the over 800 drill holes that we've put into this particular property, we know that there's much more than the 20 million ounces that we've shown to date. So it has the potential to become one of the largest producing gold mines in North America. Moreover, it's located in the most favorable jurisdiction in the U.S., and you don't have to take my word for it. The Fraser Institute did some work in that area and concluded that the central part of Alaska is the most favorable jurisdiction for geopolitical purposes. It's located about 70 miles northwest of Fairbanks, and that part of the world has had a terrific history of mining development. In fact, about 500,000 ounces have been produced in the last 96 years there. It's also a very well-defined permitting path. So when you talk about geopolitical issues, if you don't have any significant environmental concerns, and we do not, then it's a defined permitting path. We know how to get that done. Because it's a historic mining district, the state actually has designated mining as the primary land use for this area. So it's a terrific jurisdiction. It also has terrific infrastructure. We have an accessible year-round paved highway literally going right by the project. We've got access to a highly skilled labor force because of some of the other mines in the district, but we're about 50 miles away from the transmission line, the grid system. We'll need to build a transmission line, but that's a known quantity, and we can certainly do that. So you look at it and say it's a world-class gold deposit in an exceptional district with a very favorable set of infrastructure. It really sets itself apart from other projects.
Donald, let's talk about the next significant step for Tower Hill going into 2013.
Well, we've spent the better part of 2012 preparing the feasibility study for the Livengood project. And when we talk about feasibility, this is to look at every possible technical scenario and determine what is the preferred alternative before you start your permitting process. So we look at all of the various environmental baseline studies that we've done since 2008. That includes rock characterization, geohydrology, surface water, meteorology, air quality, the full scope, wetlands, aquatic, all of the habitat studies that we need to do for wildlife, and then, of course, cultural, because this is an historic mining area. And we put that in with our technical studies, which are metallurgical optimization, plant design, general mine planning, engineering, infrastructure site selection, including things like electrical, substations, all of the roads, all of the workshops, tailing storage sites, water supply. You put all that together in a feasibility study that we will have available for discussion mid-year 2013. So it will be a true value driver for ITH shareholders because it tells us the viability of this large-scale project. Within the confines of that feasibility study, we do look at multiple scenarios, including smaller projects, because one thing we have to be prepared for to benefit the shareholders of ITH is market conditions. If the market conditions stay similar to what they are in 2012, it's a tough place to go and raise capital to build large-scale projects. We may need to build a smaller project at the start and grow into a bigger project. But we'll have a full characterization of all of the various technical scenarios and understand all of our environmental baseline issues so that we can bring forward one preferred alternative, and we take it to our board of directors for consideration of moving forward on the project, roughly speaking, in end of the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, we would have that document certified by qualified persons under a set of standards that are reviewed for Canadian National Instrument 43101, and they therefore look at all of the work done by our outside consultants and our in-house engineering team to ensure that it's been done accurately and appropriately.
Donald, talk to us about some of the scenarios into getting Livengood into production.
Well, this is a large-scale project. Anytime you have 20 million ounces to work with and potential for a great deal of upside in exploration, you have to prepare for a very large scale. But you can always scale it down. So what we'll look at in our feasibility study is both project design and cash flow optimization. What our PEA, our preliminary economic assessment several years ago showed is that this project would be on the order of $1.6 billion in capital requirements to construct it. Now, we're looking to see if there isn't an optimization scenario that would reduce that CapEx, or in the event that there is an entity that may want to join with us and they seek a much larger project, what would the CapEx be in a much larger scale? So we look at all of those variations, the size of a mill, or even to be a mill. You might start with a heap leach concept. They are permittable in Alaska. There's one operating at the Fort Knox property today. And you might decide that you would build your mill at a later point in time. But we've got to look at all of those, and our target is to increase the overall cash flow and the rate of return on investment for the ITH shareholders.
Donald, talk to us about the management team in Alaska. I know that you have a lot of experience with Tom Irwin and some of the other key management people. Can you tell us more about the key management team you have in Alaska?
Absolutely. It's one of the reasons that I recently took off my chairman's hat and put on the CEO's hat in mid-September of this year. I had been on the board in 2011 and became the chairman in November, but we had a change of leadership in May, and we had an executive committee operating the company throughout the summer as we were doing a lot of our field work for the feasibility study. But we could do that because of the strength of the leadership of the rest of the company. Now, I'll start with Tom Irwin because you mentioned him. Tom's got over 35 years of experience in this industry, and I first met him when I was working at Amex Gold and we were preparing to build the Fort Knox property. Tom was a mining manager in Nevada. He went up to Alaska and he has stayed. After he worked there, and that mine was ultimately owned by Kinross's, the Fort Knox mine was owned by Kinross, he then went to work for Golden Valley Electric, the entity that will actually be providing us power. And after that was asked by Governor Murkowski to be the head of the Alaska Department of Natural Resources. And he went on to serve as a commissioner there under 3 different governors, helping to set up what is known as the large mine permit process, which is an integrated process that allows all of the agencies to work together at the same time. Very favorable setting for miners who are trying to permit projects. He has strong credibility in that state. He would never ask for any sort of favor with regard to our project from where he's been in his position, but he fully understands what it takes to get things done in Alaska, and he has strong level of credibility with the environmental community, the resources community, so he's perfectly fixed to be our vice president, and he manages all of our activities in Alaska. Our second person in Alaska who's also well known, over 30 years of experience, is a gentleman by the name of Carl Hahnemann. Carl is our general manager, and he has served in prior positions with the Teck Corporation for both exploration, development, and then later went on to be part of the permitting group that built the Pogo gold mine not too far away from Fairbanks. That's an underground mine where Teck was the minority partner and Sumitomo was the majority partner. He also did strategic guidance on a variety of permitting issues at the Red Dog mine, which is also owned by Teck and is also a Central Alaska property. Carl, more than that, has many, many years of experience in this Livengood district. It is in fact called the Livengood Mining District. It's been heavily placered, and he knows a great deal about placering business in that area. Then we take a look at the manager of engineering who's doing our feasibility study, a fellow by the name of Al Fabbett. Al's got over 30 years experience in project engineering and construction, also worked on the Fort Knox at one point in time, but he's done a significant number of other projects with Kennecott's Utah Copper, Alacer Gold's Copper project in Turkey, Goldfields Peru, Cerro Corona project, and back when I was responsible for North America for AngloGold Ashanti, I used him at the Cripple Creek and Victor mine in Colorado. So we're talking about somebody who's done it before, built mines, understands Alaska. Then at the other senior person in our management team is Tom Yip, our Chief Financial Officer. 25 years of financial experience. I worked with him at Echo Bay Mines in the 90s when we were working on two Alaska projects, the AJ and the Kensington. So Tom knows Alaska. Moreover, he knows the mining industry. He also worked for ASARCO and Silver Standard Resources out of Vancouver. So I'm blessed to come in as CEO in September with a terrific management team. Lastly, Chris Puchner, our chief geologist, who has over 30 years of experience, is one of the most renowned individuals in the western U.S. and Mexico in exploration. Done a significant number of projects in Alaska, the Nixon Fork Gold Mine, had worked for Doyon, Alaska Native Corp., very, very well known and credible in Alaska. And between Chris Puchner, the chief geologist, and Jeff Pontius, the former CEO of ITH and now a director of ITH, they prepared what was expected to be 2 to 3 million ounces for ITH's Livengood project and found over 20. So that's the management team, very well positioned to build a project in Alaska.
Well, Donald, thank you for giving us some insights into Tower Hill and catalysts going into 2013.
Thank you, Jeb. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with you anytime.